Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Hunting the Fish Pond. Tonight is episode 4. And over the last 7 days, I had a debate as to what this video was going to be about. Because when you do a video about wrestling and weightlifting, what do you follow that up with? Obviously, I have plenty of topics, that I could cover, but I kind of wanted it to be, concurrent as to, the order of the videos. So I got my answer. I actually got my answer last Monday, but I wasn't sure that that was actually the video that I wanted to do. So last Monday, I ended up with food poisoning, and it's kind of taken a toll on me the entire week, to the point where all day Monday, pretty much spent in between the bathroom and the bedroom. Didn't really eat anything for like three days. And then on Thursday, I finally got my appetite back. And I said that, I was going to try to eat something, because I was at work. And I was just going to eat 2 cookies. Because the day before I had eaten 1 cookie in like 2 half increments, and that was all, the solid stuff that I had eaten after eating like 5 crackers. So I decided to get a cheeseburger only ketchup from work, and I actually kept it down. So I was like, okay, this is a good sign. Friday was at work again, and decided I was going to push the envelope a little bit farther. And Friday afternoon, while I was still here, I made myself a sandwich, and obviously I drank a bottle of water. But when I got to work, I had a double cheeseburger, a regular cheeseburger, and a thing of French fries, and a pie. So I am proud to say that my body is back to a regular basis of eating, and no more food poisoning, hopefully, for quite a long time. So after debating over the entire week of what I wanted to do my video on, I decided actually a couple hours ago that I was going to do my video on food. And as corny as it sounds, I am going to do tonight's video on food, and then a future video I'm going to do on nutrition. So when you talk about food, what is it? It is basically something solid that you consume, and it gives you energy or just satisfies your hunger. But food for me, mind you, I may not look like it, but I love food. Food for me is quite important. Because of my weightlifting, it is very important, because you don't make gains if you don't eat. And over, I'd say, the last 20 some years, obviously, of being able to feed myself, I have enjoyed a lot of various different foods. Me personally, I can't say I have a favorite, because it ranges like a wide variety. I like meat. I like pasta. I like junk food. I like anything that is food. Obviously, being, the way my body is, with my preferences and stuff, I am pretty picky. I'll be the first to admit that. There is certain things out there that I don't like, certain things that I am allergic to, and certain things that I don't prefer. For example, I'm allergic to rice, pineapple, and coconut. I don't like pickles. I am not much of a vegetable person as it is. Meaning I don't really like salads. I don't like lettuce. I don't like tomatoes. I don't like cucumbers. I don't like radishes. I despise olives. But yeah, I love olive oil. I don't know why. Maybe it's just the smell of olives that I don't like. I don't like, even the things that I say that I do like, there are certain things that I don't like. As far as meats, I pretty much like everything. I like burgers. I like chicken. I like red meat. Obviously I love a good steak. I like pork chops. Love chicken. Well, I don't care for chicken that much. Working at KFC kind of ruined that, but every once in a while, I'll grab like a can of chicken or something and, make like a chicken wrap or something like that. I don't know why, but ever since I was about 13 years old, I've always loved pasta. I love everything pasta. Spaghetti, lasagna, stuffed shells, fettuccine Alfredo, number one favorite. That's why I love going to Olive Garden. Obviously I like canned pasta, like ravioli, beefaroni, stuff like that. Love ramen. It's weird because if you were to look at my diet and the way that I eat, some of you might say that I don't eat properly, which I will be the first person to tell you that I don't eat properly. And it's because, it's not that I can't afford to eat properly, but I don't really find myself having the time to cook a meal. With working on a flexible schedule and, having to do things around the house, do things uptown and stuff like that. I can't say that I don't know how to cook because I do, obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't be the way I was. But I'm not going to say that if you put me on a Food Network or like a food show or a contest that I would ever win first prize, because that's just not how I do. I guess you could say the way that I eat, I basically eat what they call welfare meals. Granted, the way I was raised, with a lower income family and being on food stamps and stuff, that's pretty much all I could really afford. Not to mention when I became an adult, living on my own, living paycheck to paycheck, you got to get what you can get, and that's pretty much been my supplementation for most of my life. Now, some of you are wondering, what do you mean by welfare meals? Well, as I stated, you can't put me on a cooking show and expect me to come out first place, because that's never going to happen. However, I do have an affinity for cooking, and if I ever got to a point in my life where I had time and the finances to make the foods that I so desire to make, I would definitely do them. Every once in a blue moon, depending on what I'm doing, I'll turn on like a cooking show or something and watch how people make stuff. And think about making it myself. As a matter of fact, I told my fiance yesterday, I asked her if she knows how to make lasagna because she likes cooking. She makes all kinds of food all the time. She makes spaghetti, she makes chicken, she makes sausage patties. She's actually made pot roast for us one time. She made pork chops. We've had barbecue chicken. She does all that cooking, but she also works in a kitchen for her second job. So I said to her yesterday, I said, do you know how to make lasagna? And she said, no, but I could learn. Just because, as I said, I like pasta. And lasagna is up there with one of my favorite pasta dishes. Not sure why. Maybe it's because of a heritage or something. But, I know because of the fact that my mom has, when I was homeschooled 20 some years ago, my mom actually did a lot of like home ec classes with us and taught us how to make a lot of stuff. Obviously, being it was so long ago, I don't remember much of that, but it's kind of common. That's why they have cookbooks and recipes and stuff like that for, people that actually want to learn how to cook food. As far as like meats, actually last night my fiance and I went out for pizza. Obviously I love pizza. I don't know where that came from of me loving pizza, but I just love pizza. Pizza is probably one of my favorite foods to consume, on top of meat and pasta. But we decided to go out to Domino's. We got 2 sheets, an order of Cinesticks, the Bond Bites, and a dozen and a half of wings, which was actually pretty good. But obviously I do other things too, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video. Obviously I love burgers. Olive Garden, I mentioned, I think earlier in the video or not, is a favorite restaurant of mine because I love pasta. Mind you, Olive Garden does more than just pasta, but every time I go there, fettuccine alfredo or lasagna is my go-to. As a matter of fact, the next time I go there, I'd like to know if they do stuffed shells. And if they do, I'll probably get a thing of those on top of fettuccine alfredo, depending on how hungry I am by the time I go. As I mentioned, chicken is, or or should I say poultry as a whole, is a big thing. Pork is a big thing. Pork chops, salami. I do like Speedies. Mind you, it took me 26 years. Yeah, took me 26 years to finally like Speedies, but they have to be prepared a certain way. They can't be too dry. They have to be juicy, and for some reason, they have to be marinated a certain way as well. Obviously, biased as it sounds, I like my family's Speedies when we do our summer cookouts. And that was actually the first time I tried Speedies, just because I wanted to. Hot dogs. I love hot dogs. They are probably my favorite emergency go-to meat, but they are good nonetheless. What else do we got? Obviously I like bread. I wouldn't say I'm a big fan of bagels, but it depends on the bagel. Very particular on cinnamon raisin is actually a go-to for several food categories of mine. Cinnamon raisin toast, cinnamon raisin bagels, blueberry muffins. Obviously, I love fruit, which is probably why I don't really like vegetables. I love fruit. Apples, oranges, peaches, pears, applesauce. I like all of that. Bananas are a big thing. Once upon a time, I should really get back into it before the winter's over and I slow down on my protein shakes, but I actually went and I would make a protein shake in the blender, and I would do 8 ounces of milk, 2 eggs, a banana, some frozen fruit, and mix it all up and drink it. And that on top of whatever I was eating for dinner that night actually got me in some pretty good shape. Vegetables. Let's see, what do I like for vegetables? This is a good one. I mean, like I said, I don't eat, meals, like steak, mashed potatoes, and green beans and stuff like that on a regular basis. But when I do, I like green beans. I like carrots. Absolutely love sweet potatoes. I like mashed potatoes. I like peas, corn. And there was another vegetable that I like too. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think that's about it, but I like a lot of... I actually do like quite a few vegetables. I just don't, make them as often. Obviously, with the way that I eat, with my schedule, I normally do, if I can get away with it, I'll do like, a main meal, either an entree or a entree / side dish, or a vegetable, and top it off with some fruit and my protein shake. But that's pretty much, most of my meal. I mean, when I'm at work, I get a burger, french fries, obviously something to drink, and I usually top it off with a pie. If I'm at home, it varies on what I'm in the mood for. Being as it's already almost 8 o'clock at night, I'm probably not going to eat anything, just because I had leftover pizza for lunch today. And I'm probably just going to have a bowl of cereal. Now, ironically, I am allergic to fish, unfortunately. The only fish in my in the last 22 years that I have been able to consume is tuna. So if you ever ask me to go, you will never see me at a Red Robin. I cannot do lobster. I cannot do seafood. I cannot do shellfish. I cannot do crab. I cannot do fillet of fishes. I can't do any of that, unfortunately. But I do love my tuna. I obviously like grains. Oatmeal, very, very, very important. As a matter of fact, on the days that I am feeling up to actually eating something and I actually have some, I usually do my go-to meal after a workout is normally a couple tuna wraps, a bowl of oatmeal, and a protein shake, and some kind of like ending thing, whether it be like a pudding or applesauce if I have either one, or just like a thing of crackers or whatever. As I stated in the beginning, I do like junk food. But the reason that I like junk food isn't for the fact that it's there. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But with me personally, the only reason I like junk food is because of the calories. Because when you have something like donuts or honey buns or Nutter Butters or like those kind of snacks and stuff, those have a lot of calories. And if I don't have like the fruit cups or pudding or something like that to go with my meals at the end of the day, I'll grab a snack. If I have it, to go with my meal. Like I said, I usually eat those for the calories. And those are usually, if I don't substitute them with my meal after my post-workout meal, I usually eat them at the end of the night, like 10, 11, 11:30 if I work or not, depending on what time, I feel like I'm ready to lay down and go to sleep. I always eat something at least a half hour to an hour before I go to bed. But for some reason, when I wake up in the morning, I'm always hungry, obviously, even though I don't really sleep that much. But, I still like, to eat something just before bed, just because it's better for me to not go to sleep hungry and then wake up hungry, because then I can start my day off right. Which leads me to my next topic, breakfast. Now, mind you, I am a firm believer in the fact that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. When I have the time and the resources, my go-to breakfast is usually a couple pieces of toast, a thing of oatmeal, and if I have it, like a juice of some kind, or just a simple bottle of water. A more complicated breakfast, well, I wouldn't say complicated because I'm not very complicated when it comes to my food, as you can tell. A more diverse breakfast for me would probably be eggs, a couple pieces of toast or oatmeal, and again, a juice of some kind or something. And if we were going to dive a little bit farther than that, you got waffles, you got like a breakfast pastry or something. If I can afford it, I'll go out for breakfast. Dunkin' Donuts or the local diner, or another local fast food place, and get some kind of breakfast. It all depends on whether or not you have time, or whether you make time, or if you just want to skip over it and get something simple like a cereal bar or a honey bun. Or if you're somebody who actually goes out and drinks coffee, which I do not, maybe you have a cup of coffee and a donut, or you have something similar, a cup of coffee and a cinnamon roll, a cup of coffee and a breakfast sandwich, whatever floats your boat, as they say. What else do we got? Now, going back to the subject of junk food, I like chips. When I'm able to anyway, and I'm eating like a sandwich or something or whatever, if I have the time or can make the time to actually make, like a big lunch, I'll do like a sandwich, some kind of chips, whether they be cheese puffs, Cool Ranch Doritos, sour cream and onion chips, whatever, some kind of chips. And that's a regular lunch for me. What else do we got? Dinner. I pretty much went over that. Dinner is probably, at least for me, the most open-ended, because it could literally be anything. You could have breakfast for dinner, lunch for dinner, dinner for dinner, or you could just like skip over dinner completely if it's a day that you're not working out, like tonight for me. I kind of want to eat something, being as it's only 8 o'clock. I could probably get away with eating something smaller, like a waffle or something. But on some days, if I can get the chance, like if it's during the week in the 6-day period that I do my workouts and I end up working in the morning or have the day off, I'll do my workout at nighttime. And then when I go out to the kitchen, I will, look around and see what I got. And that's where, the choices come in, as far as like what's on the menu. We have chicken wraps, tuna wraps, some kind of pasta maybe, some kind of oatmeal, maybe hot dogs, mashed potatoes, vegetables. We have a ton of things, that could be made, at that point, because it's pretty much the last meal of the day for dinner anyway, before you normally go to sleep. Unless you're someone who typically likes to eat a nighttime snack, or, you eat later in the day or earlier in the day. To each their own. Let's see. Now, I'm not sure why I waited till, later in the video to say this, but a lot of the things that I eat stem from the fact that I have worked in 2 different grocery stores. I worked at Tops for a short period of time, and I also spent a spell at Maine's, the grocery store in Binghamton. And for some reason, when I worked at both of those places, I was always fascinated by the things that people brought through for two reasons. One, because obviously I know those people aren't me. And two, I'm a friendly person. My customer service skills are through the roof. And obviously I like to make meaningful conversations. So let's take a couple stories from example of, since I worked there longer, the times when I worked at Maine's. Maine's, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, Maine's is a bulk store. And basically a lot of the area cooks and chefs would come up to Maine's and get their product for their restaurants, their food trucks, their stuff like that, or their personal businesses, or even for their houses if they were, kind of wealthier, we'll say, and could actually, do that kind of stuff on a regular basis. And trust and believe, even to this day, I established quite a few friendships with some of the people that came through. As a matter of fact, one of the guys that was a regular at Maine's actually does the pizza at one of the local bars here in town. And I actually ran into him not too long ago. And, told him, been a long time. And he actually made me one of his pizzas, which obviously when I worked up at Maine's, I wasn't living here in Owego. But I basically told him I'd have to come down one time and get your pizza. And unfortunately, it took me a little bit longer than I had expected to actually get his pizza. But for a very small town, it was some pretty good pizza. Let's see. Like I said, a lot of when I lived up there and was working there, a lot of the local restaurant chefs and stuff would come in for their businesses, and I was amazed, at how much people would actually spend on, for their businesses, as far as groceries and stuff for a restaurant or something. There was actually people coming in there who were spending $2 to $6, $7, $8, $9, over $1,000 worth of food just at Maine's, and we're using it in restaurants, some of which I have been to. And then I wonder why the food is so good. Now, mind you, obviously I have a family, but I don't have a big family. But I spend about, on a good day, when I can, I spend about maybe $150 to $250 on groceries, at least in a month, to feed me, my wife, and my son. And the interesting thing about my wife is she eats a lot more than I do. And I mean a lot more than I do. As far as eating, the one thing that we have in common is neither one of us likes seafood. But she likes a bunch of other things. She eats cranberry sauce. She likes stuffing. She doesn't like sweet potatoes, which I rag on her all the time about. She does like salads. She likes, she likes meats and stuff. She likes pasta. She likes, chicken. She likes burgers. Um, she, like I said, she eats a lot. She eats a lot more than I do. She's not as picky with her food, but there are some things that she doesn't like to eat. She doesn't have any food allergies, as far as I'm aware, which is amazing. Um, but luckily, at least being with her, I have a variety of things that I like. She has a variety of things that she likes. And being as we are a family, we can sit down together and we can normally, depending on our schedules, um, we can actually sit down and eat, together sometimes. Very, very seldomly do we eat together, but when we do, it's usually something good. Or, if it's not, it's something that, she prefers over something that I prefer. Um, Obviously, the three of us, me, my wife, and my son, we all had pizza last night. Um, my son had 2 slices. I had 3 slices. She had 3 slices. My wife and I had some wings, and obviously there was leftovers. My son tried a Bon Bite, took a bite out of it, and didn't want the rest of it. So we figured he was done. But on other occasions, my wife will make like sausage patties, and she likes chicken. She likes pork chops, and stuff like that. I should probably convince her to, use up the lettuce that I got the other night, just so that it doesn't end up going bad. If she's feeling up to making a salad or something. I won't, because I don't know why. I just don't like lettuce. It's really weird because when I go to the grocery store, now I am guilty of going to the grocery store hungry, and what they tell you is that you should not go to the grocery store hungry, because you end up buying stuff that you're either not going to use or that you don't need. I'm guilty of that. I'll be the first to admit it. But for some reason, when I go to the grocery store and I'm not entirely hungry, I still end up getting stuff that I would like. But I also have this little thing where I go over to the aisles that I probably shouldn't be in and look around just to see what is there. And I say to myself, oh, I should get this, I should get this, I should get this, and try it out. Then I end up never doing it. And if I do, it ends up never getting eaten. I actually just realized there was one food group that I did not get the chance to cover, and that is dairy. Obviously, I've mentioned it a little bit here and there, but when it comes to dairy, I would have to say that dairy is one of my favorite food groups besides meat. Just because, obviously, with the weightlifting, I like eggs. I love milk. Big fan of cheese. Yogurt, I like when I can eat it, or if I remember to eat it. Which is kind of why I brought myself back to it, because when I go to the grocery store, like I said, I buy things sometimes that I'm not going to eat, or I just forget that they're there and they end up expiring. And the last couple food trips, or I should say grocery store trips, I have bought yogurt, and I'll maybe eat like 1 or 2, and then the rest will sit in the fridge and they'll end up expiring before I get the chance to eat them, and then we end up throwing them away. Excuse me. But I love dairy. Like, it's a very important part of my weightlifting. And, you know, because it's so essential, those main two things, those are very essential to my protein shakes. Obviously, I need them. So I can't really go without them unless I don't have them. But it's nice because I actually can, I can take the food pyramid, as it is called, and I'm the type of person that I will make a meal, as I call it, out of different things from each food group and consume it without worrying about, do I like it or not? Am I allergic to it? Am I not going to eat it? This, that, or the third. Now, granted, just like every other person, obviously, life happens. You get sick, or you don't have time, or something comes up that you have to stop your eating, or you can't eat right away. This, that, or the third. And then you have the debate with yourself of, what do I do now? Do I finish eating and then go deal with what I have to do? Or do I save it for later and, hope that I will go back to it? Now, I will tell you, with pure honesty, because I am a very honest person, that there will be times where if I'm not feeling the greatest, or something is on my mind, or I'm just not up to it, I will save whatever I'm eating, whether it be a wrap or a bowl of oatmeal or a bowl of spaghetti or whatever I had for dinner, and I will save it for the next day, if I remember. If I don't remember, it'll tend to sit in the fridge for a couple days, and then either my fiance and I will my fiance or I will end up throwing it out, or it'll just sit in the fridge until, it gets eaten or whatever. Now, obviously, over this last week, trying to get my appetite back, I haven't really eaten at home that much. Just because going through what I went through on Monday, it's devastating. And luckily for me, having that bout with food poisoning isn't the first time. Probably won't be the last. But it kind of takes a toll on you. And obviously, your body's out of whack. And you don't want to, obviously they tell you not to eat normally, just because you could aggravate your gastro tract, and you could actually prolong your illness for longer than you want to. So, I am fortunate in my years that I'm pretty sure this is the 4th time now that I have dealt with food poisoning, and it actually is the 4th. Ironic. It's the 4th time I've dealt with food poisoning, and those 3 days, from Monday to Wednesday night, it was rough. There was a couple times where I just sat in my room, and obviously once I started, very slowly but surely, to get my appetite back, I didn't want to eat anything because I basically told myself it was too soon. And as soon as, as I said, as soon as Thursday came along and my stomach was growling literally to the point that I hurt, I didn't really have a choice but to eat something or, and take the risk. So I basically I talked to my brother and I talked to the other manager and I basically said, you know what? I'm going to chance it and see what comes out of it, you know? And obviously I took the risk and as far as I know, the last 3 days have been actually quite well. Um, Obviously, I'm not gonna go out to frickin' Texas Roadhouse and eat an 8-pound steak with a plate of mashed potatoes and some green beans, tomorrow. But it's nice to know now that with what food I have in my house, maybe I can actually sit down and actually eat something that isn't gonna put me back in the bathroom for 12 hours. Or actually almost, well, no, it was pretty much 12 hours because I was in the bathroom from like 8 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock at night last Monday. But as I said, food poisoning is something I've dealt with before, and it's not something to be toyed with, but obviously there's other food factors out there. You got acid reflux, which I want to touch on real quick. I actually do have. Kind of the reason why I can't eat spicy foods. Now, mind you, I did mention a couple times that we did get honey barbecue wings, and I actually told my fiance this on the way home. The honey barbecue wings that we got had a little bit of a zing to them, but not so much so that, it messed my stomach up. At least I don't think it did. But it was enough that I felt it. And, I'm just not, like, I try to stay away from spicy foods. Spicy foods. Sorry, can't talk tonight. But I will say that I try to avoid, like, you will never see me eat a cayenne or a ghost pepper in my life. Just because, no thank you. And obviously, there's people out there that have a condition called GERD, which I do believe is like acid reflux. But, obviously a lot of people have to, because of like existing medical conditions or whatever, there's a lot of things you can't eat. I watch a lot of shows and I've seen a lot of people with like, not even food related medical conditions, but like actual bodily health conditions. And there are people out there who can't eat shellfish because of like a medical condition. There's people out there who can't eat red meat because of a medical condition. There's people out there who can't eat red sauce because of a medical condition. There's people out there, obviously, who have food allergies that can't eat certain things. My mom, for example, she can't eat coconut, she can't eat strawberries, she can't eat chocolate, she can't eat peanut butter, which 3 of those things are 3 of my favorites. And I kind of feel bad for her because I love peanut butter, I love strawberries, love chocolate. Obviously, I'm allergic to coconut. Not sure how that happened. Thank you, Mom. But, I can't do anything coconut. That is actually more than just a food allergy. It's actually like a skin allergy as well. I actually can't use coconut shampoo, unfortunately, because of it. So when you talk about like food allergies. Earlier in the video, I mentioned that I can't eat seafood. I can't eat coconut. I'm allergic to pineapple, and I'm allergic to rice. Those, thankfully, are pretty much the only allergies that I know of. And as I mentioned, my fiance doesn't have any food allergies. My son, on the other hand, and obviously a lot of allergies develop over time, and some of them go away. When I was younger, I actually was allergic to strawberries, but I grew out of that, thank God. But my son actually has an allergy to blueberries, which obviously Dad loves blueberries. Blueberry oatmeal, blueberry waffles, blueberry muffins, and just blueberries in general. A couple months ago, I had my fiance actually buy some things of blueberries, just so that we could use them around the house for like stuff. And unfortunately, we didn't end up using them. I think I used them maybe for a protein shake once or twice, and then the rest of them got thrown away. What else? I mean, I think that's pretty much all I got. I like food. A lot of people like food, which is a good thing. If food wasn't around, I don't think we would be. Being as 95% of my job life has been in some kind of food establishment, I am very thankful for the people who produce food. Very supportive of truck drivers, extremely supportive of farmers, extremely supportive of, delivery drivers, the people that allow us to eat. Because if it wasn't for those people, we probably wouldn't eat. So in closing, I want to say to you guys, just like I do just about every day, thank your local farmer, thank your local fast food worker, thank your local grocery store clerk, because if it wasn't for those people that provide you with that food is important to us. If food wasn't around, we wouldn't be around. Just go out and say thank you to them. Because for all you know, or maybe you do, they could have prepared your meal at home, they could have prepared your meal at the drive-thru, or they could have done both. They could have prepared the food that prepared your meal in the drive-thru. Let's think about it. So, with that being said, I'm gonna go out and get myself some food because I am a little bit hungry. So I will see you all on the next trip to the pond.